Good morning, and as always, we welcome you to this week's Sunday drop-in with Croes-y-Parc Chapel. So great that you could be here with us today. This morning we're going to start by thinking about God's greatest piece of creation, which is you and me.
What defines a masterpiece? For some, there is hope, the quiet stirring of potential. In a world marked by beauty and sorrow, chaos and harmony, how many people have walked the earth, burdened with the need to answer this question? Does this hunt for magnificence conclude in the artist's brush? Or in the details so carefully laid out, layer upon layer? We've hunted for as long as we've roamed, humanity searching for purpose, reason. But all this time, we've been looking in the wrong places. We've dismissed the clues laid out for us as trivial, blinded ourselves by our own sense of worth. And we've missed the answer, even when it stares us in the face. For when we realize that beyond such magnificent attention to detail, the most crafted creation of all draws its breath in you. Formed to perfection in your mother's womb, each hair counted and each fingerprint shaped, none other bearing its form. Carved and sculpted, shaped and refined, the world's greatest masterpiece, you. You are the world's greatest masterpiece. Because you are created by the world's greatest artist.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. Everything we see has something very important in common. Everything. The sun, a Brussels sprout, a mountain, perhaps a woodlouse. They all have something in common. And it's not that they're all inedible. You could eat a woodlouse at a pinch. I wouldn't fancy trying the other three, especially the sprout. It's that they're all made from exactly the same ingredients. Three of them: protons, neutrons, and electrons. And they're held together by the same few fundamental forces. Creation really is that simple, even if it would take a creative genius to make it that simple. All the wonderful diversity of our world comes down to different ratios of just three subatomic particles, that and how they combine with other atoms. It's truly amazing. Little wonder then that the Bible has this to say in Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. We have a mind-blowing creation which has been brought into existence through Christ. So, obviously, he's the main man, the head honcho, he's the king of the world he has made. Well, no, he's not the king of this world. And I have that on good authority, his own. Shortly before he laid down his life for any who would trust in him, he was dragged in front of Pilate. In the exchange which followed, we have this in John 18:36. Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place." But now my kingdom is from another place. And true, Christ will one day return in triumph, But the reality is, Jesus is not currently functioning as the king of this world. If you don't believe me, just turn on the news. Try to square what is happening with the control of the one who is brilliant enough to come up with protons, neutrons, and electrons. The Apostle Paul, writing to the Philippians, says, "But we are citizens of heaven." And Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, talks about us being foreigners and exiles here on earth. If we are in Christ, we belong to the kingdom of Jesus. We're all just passing through this world. But nonetheless, what we do here is supremely important. There are things we must do on this physical journey, and there are things that we will never be able to do when our earthly journey is done. Let me tell you what you won't be doing in heaven. You won't be offering a shoulder to cry on. There'll be no more tears. You won't be grieving with someone. There'll be no more grief. You won't be sharing the gospel, feeding the hungry, taking care of the widows and orphans, or praying for the sick. Those things will be redundant. But they're not redundant now, are they? They're not redundant in this messed up world. They could hardly be more necessary. We may often pray, "Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Well, that happens when we act as Christ's hands and feet, when we do what Jesus would do. If you'd like to find out more about Jesus and the impact that the Christian faith should have on the world and on our individual lives, I'd like to invite you to come along to our Alpha group. We have an introductory session where we'll be taking a look at that big concept of life. Is this all there is? We'll watch a video on a topic, then have the opportunity to discuss what we've heard and ask questions, or just listen to everyone else if we'd rather. It's free and it starts on Thursday, the 11th of February at 7:30. Why not come along to the first session, see if it's for you? You'd be very welcome. Full details are on the chapel Facebook page. Stay safe and God bless.
We are the tenants of the King. We are the workers in his garden. So we will live in love and care. For this the planet that we share. We bear the image of our God. of the King.
Thanks for joining us, and we hope you'll be with us again next Sunday for another drop-in. We also hope you'll drop in on our Alpha session on Thursday, the 11th of February. You can find out more details here on our Facebook page. But until next week, goodbye and God bless.